Wallstrom, and here's my video critique for Design for a Sustainable World. The site I chose is the Rose City Golf Club in Northeast Portland, Oregon. This site is special to me for a number of reasons. The first being I grew up literally across the street from the golf course from the ages of about 8 to 18. This was also my first job. I used to collect the flags at the end of the day, clean all the golf carts, work in the clubhouse and whatnot. And I may or may not have attended a few parties in the middle of the golf course so that the neighbors and cops couldn't hear us. But I plead the fifth on that one. Funny enough, I've actually never played a round of golf in my life, so I've never used this site for its intended use. As I said, the Rose City Golf Course is in Northeast Portland. You can see it there. And the history of this site is kind of interesting. In 1910, it started as the Rose City Raceway, and that lasted for about 11 years until they had their final event in 1921, which was a staged locomotive crash. I always thought that was kind of weird. 2 years after this crash, after people were using the site as a driving range, they finally convinced the city to allow them to develop the first 9 holes. And it was a 9-hole golf course until 1932, when on the east side they added an extra 18 holes, as well as the clubhouse that you can see here. Fast forward to 2021, nowadays it is an 18-hole golf course complete with a driving range, ponds and hills, really just the whole 9, pun intended. I'm sorry about that, it was just too easy. But if we want to talk about this in a sustainability point of view, I think the first thing we have to talk about is the sheer size of it. As you can see, it's one of the largest open green spaces on the east side of Portland, but it really has no ecological value. Even as a human, you can't use this space unless you pay money to play a sport and only play the sport on the site. But there's no ecological value or habitat value here. These trees and shrubs that are there, yes, but they were there and planted and cared for and are really only meant for human aesthetic pleasure. That's why they're there. They don't hold much value other than that. And then how do they keep this site so green? This isn't a picture from actual Rose City. I couldn't find one, and I actually couldn't find the pesticides they use, which is kind of scary. I think that should probably be public information, to be honest, but they do it through pesticides. I've seen these countless times at the golf course across the street from me. It's disgusting. Portland's a rainy place. When it rains, this stuff is just going to go straight to our watersheds. It's terrible. And just to have basically a giant front lawn where old white men pay money to hit plastic balls. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about how the main thing in this sport is a tiny plastic ball. It's giant waste. Millions upon millions every year. And if we're talking about millions upon millions, let's talk about the gallons of water that not only Rose City Golf Course, but that every golf course around the world takes. It's a complete resource sink. It just drains. There's no reason that we should be putting this much water into what I again call just a basic giant front lawn. It's ridiculous. Here are my sources. I found the most interesting to be the Golf and Environment by Audubon Society, where they talk about all the environmental impacts of a golf course and what they could do to be better. One was being a habitat for birds, but I've yet to see that be successful. Thank you.